Hi everyone, so this video is going to be an updated foundation routine. Now I mentioned in my last video, which was a February favourites, how much I'd been loving my new foundation, which is the Shiseido Sun Protection Foundation with SPF 30. Now if you guys watch my videos quite regularly, you'll know, or you might know, that I've been absolutely obsessed with the Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua Foundation for about a year. It's been kind of my go-to foundation. Every other foundation I've tried since then hasn't been able to match up to it until now. So I don't know whether I prefer this one, but it's definitely like on a par, if not better, and I've been wearing it as my kind of everyday foundation because it lasts a bit longer and it stays looking perfect for longer. So I still love my Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua. I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about that because you guys, a lot of people like ask me about that a lot, like, oh, you know, what do you think of it, and this and that. I have done a review on it, so if you want to see that, I'll link it in the information bar below, but as a comparison, they're about on a par. If you want something that lasts a little bit longer and has, I think it has higher SPF, I think the Chanel one is SPF 15, then this one is most probably for you because it lasts and lasts. So if you want to know a little bit more about the Shiseido Sun Protection Foundation and how I like to apply it, then keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to start with absolutely no makeup on, as you can see now. I don't have particularly problem skin at all. I actually have really quite clear skin, but I do have a little problem with kind of redness around my chin and my nose especially, and also kind of around my eyes as well. I tend to get kind of a little bit of discoloration here, as you can see, and then obviously a little bit of bags. I'm a bit tired at the moment as well, so it doesn't help. So I'm going to start by taking my foundation, Shiseido Sun Protection, like I said, and I'm a little bit confused actually because the one I have seems to be SPF 30, but a lot of the ones I've seen reviews on, because before I do a review of anything I always look online to see what else has been said about it, what everyone else is saying, and kind of different people's experiences with different skin types and things like that. And kind of compare it to my experience, and a lot of people in the US actually have SPF 42. I'm not sure why, but mine is SPF 30, and I think it's a UK thing. So you have to shake it to mix it all together. So first of all I do that, and then I put a little bit on my hand, probably about that much. And the first thing you'll notice about this foundation is it's very, very runny as it runs down my hand. The shade I have is actually SP50, and I will get onto the shade variations in a minute because that's definitely one of the downsides of this, because their shade selection is very poor. But anyway, before this runs off my hand, I'm going to start applying it. I use my Gemma Kid Pro number 10 foundation brush, which looks like this, and I start in the centre of my face, kind of around my nose, because that's where I want the most coverage, and I start by kind of just brushing it on very, very lightly, and then kind of tapping it, pushing it into the skin, if that even makes sense, like that. And it does have a very, very light scent to it, but it's a very light consistency, very, very runny, but it provides kind of a good medium buildable coverage. Go onto my chin, which is the next place where I want lots of coverage, and just take it under as well. And what I like about this brush is that you can use it to apply foundation how you would with a classic foundation brush in kind of longer strokes, but it's also great for kind of getting into any nooks and crannies because it's rounded, so you can really kind of blend it around your nose, under your eyes a little as well, because you can use it very lightly, like that. So I really, really like it. And this foundation feels very, very light on the skin. It is slightly scented. It's not something you notice when it's on at all, but when you're applying it you can definitely smell it. It's nothing major. I mean, if you're really offended by scents in foundations it might bother you, but it's definitely a lot less potent than others. And that's it for my foundation. As you can see, it's a really kind of natural, flawless finish. A lot of the reviews online actually said that it's matte, and I don't think that it's matte at all. I think it's very natural. I think a lot of people, if something's not shimmery, they're like, oh, it's not dewy because it doesn't have shimmer in it. This is a matte in terms of the look of the product. It doesn't have shimmer in it. It's not shiny or sparkly, but the way it leaves your skin is definitely not matte. It's kind of just very, very natural satin finish foundation. After I've done that, I use a little bit of concealer around my eyes. If I do have any blemishes, which I don't at the moment, thank God, I use Collection 2000's Lasting Perfection concealer, which I think is really, really great. At the moment I tend to not need any of that. I use a highlighting concealer, and I have been using the Burberry Sheer Concealer for a while, which I do really like, but recently I've also discovered the Maybelline Dream Lumi Touch, which is a lot less expensive kind of version of it, and I really like this as well, so I'm going to use this today. And I just tend to apply a few lines of this under my eyes and then use my fingers just to blend it. And what I like to do with this as well is just blend it a little bit further under, because it's an illuminating concealer, kind of down to my cheekbones, so that it highlights that whole area, if you can see that. And then I tend to put a tiny bit on my chin where I need a little bit more coverage, and then down my nose as well. All kind of areas where you might need a little bit more coverage, but it's also nice to highlight as well, kind of down the centre of your face. And then to finish it off, I don't use powder, I use my Skindinavia spray, which I have been using for, I don't even know how long, maybe 2 years now. I haven't used powder in my everyday routine for a very, very long time, and a few sprays on my face just to set it, wait for it to dry, and then it stays all day. I kid you not, this foundation is hard to budge, like through rain, if you're doing outdoor activities, because it's got a high sun protection factor as well. In the summer, if you're going to be sweating, it's really, really great, so I absolutely love it. The two downsides to this: number one, the shade selection, like I mentioned earlier, is pretty poor. They have 7 shades, and it ranges from SP10 to SP70. I'm SP50. So I'm the 5th darkest shade. There's only 2 shades darker than my skin tone. So if you have medium or dark skin tone, there's absolutely no way that you can wear this foundation, which I think is really sad, because I love it. I love the finish it gives. I love the way it looks. I love the way it lasts. I can't really say many other bad things about it. The only other kind of vague negatives, it doesn't photograph very well, which is kind of obvious. It's got SPF 30, which is really high for a foundation. Usually if foundations have SPFs, they are factor 15 or sometimes 30, usually factor 15. Yeah, so if you're going on a night out where you're going to have lots of photos of you taken with flash, or if you're getting married, I wouldn't recommend using this. But for every day, I absolutely love it, and I honestly think it has taken the place of my beloved Chanel Vita Lumiere Aqua. That's a bold statement, because I am absolutely obsessed with that foundation, and I have been for like a year and a half or so. Well, no, a year I think, since it came out. And this has kind of taken its place in my everyday foundation, especially if I'm going to be out and about all day. And it just stays put. It just really, really stays, and I absolutely love it. I don't know whether there's too much more to say about it. Like I mentioned, I do have kind of combination to dry skin, but I have seen reviews of this on more oily skins, and it does work. If you want to try it out, I definitely recommend going to a counter and asking for a sample. It is fairly pricey. I think in the UK it's £28. I know on Feel Unique it's 28, but I don't know if that's a little bit cheaper than elsewhere. In the States I think it's about $35. And yeah, that is it. So let me know if there's anything else you guys want to see a review of, or any videos you'd like to see in the next few weeks. Sorry I've been gone for a week. I've had a little bit of time off, as you can tell, still recovering from being ill, but I will definitely be making lots of videos in the next few weeks for you, and I hope to see you then. Bye!